Alright, so first we're going to talk about our welcome work real fast. Jaleesa rented a car while she's on vacation. She paid a flat rental fee of $85. So if you're looking at some number next to X plus some number is going to be equaling your total, right? So our 85 is our flat fee, and our 750 is going to be our number next to X. And that's going to equal 130. From there, draw your line, circle your term with your variable. This is being added, so it's being subtracted. So we're going to have 750x equaling, what is 130 minus 85? And then from there, we're going to divide by 750. And you're going to get 6 days, okay? Same thing here. I'm going to circle and draw my line. The inverse of this is plus 7. So 5y equals 20. Divide by 5. And y is greater than 4. So, long time ago. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to start with my circle there. Because there is no line underneath that, that means that this is going to be an open circle, and our y is bigger than it, which means that it faces that way. So, which of these numbers are not included? Well, all but 4 are, because 4 is an open circle. Okay? Finding the slope of our line. Here is one place we can put it. Here's another. Here's another. There are a few places that you could put it. But remember, from there, we draw our line. From our right point, we go left. This is 1, 2, 3. Over 1. And that is a negative slope. So I would accept -3 or -3 over 1. You told your mom you have at most 6 missing assignments. At most 6 missing assignments. So we're talking about our missing assignments. At most. So could you have 7? No. So it's definitely less than. Could you have 6? Yes. So your thing should be x is less than or equal to 6. All right, here we are going to do this. We are going to do that. Minus 7 on both sides. That gives us 1/3 x equals 10. This 1 is being divided by 3. So I'm going to do the inverse, and I'm going to times by 3 on both sides. So 1x equals 30. If you want to do an extra step and you want to divide by 1 on both sides, that's fine. But in reality, x is going to equal 30. To make a flag of the U.S., you need 3 different color fabrics. How many colors of fabric do you need to make 14 U.S. flags? How many? You're making the same flag just 14 times. You still only need 3 colors. All right. Now, make sure that you have this paper in front of you. Okay, so it says 20 middle school students ran their mile and their times minutes were recorded. Use the data to make a box and whisker plot. Use your box and whisker plot to analyze the data. So first, we're going to put our numbers in order from smallest to biggest. So the easiest way to do this is look and see what number is the smallest. Every time that you use a number, cross it out, right? You can always add in a number if you find out later that you missed it. Okay? So take a moment, pause the video, and do that. Welcome back. All right, so these are the numbers that you should have. All right? This is the order that you should have for your data points. All right? So we're going to take a minute, and we're going to come back to what they want us to do. Okay? So, I don't know why I have so many of these same pages. Okay. So, Those are our numbers in order from smallest to biggest. Basically, what we're going to do is find the median. So I'm going to first start by crossing out the smallest and the biggest, 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 smallest, biggest. I'm left with these two numbers. All right? So from there, I need to find the middle of those two. So I'm going to take 8 1/4. I'm going to add it to 8.5. And I'm going to divide that answer by 2. When you do that, you should get 8375. 8375. Okay? Now, from here, okay, I'm going to cross out a different way. We're basically taking, because our middle number is right here, okay? So I'm going to find the middle of this section of data, and I'm going to find the middle of this section of data. So I'm going to go smallest and biggest, biggest and smallest, smallest and biggest, smallest and biggest. I'm again left with two numbers. So I'm going to take 7 plus 7.5. All I'm doing is finding the median of those two numbers, the middle of those two numbers. And that is going to give us 7 1/4. 7 1/4. Okay? Now I need to do the same thing, only for the bigger part of the data. So cross out my smallest and my biggest and my smallest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest. Oh, I'm left with these two. So I'm going to add 9 1/4 plus 9.5, and I'm going to divide it by 2. When I do that, you should end up with 9.375. Okay? From here, we're going to do the easiest part. You ready? All we are going to do, and I should have done this first, and that's completely my fault. All we are going to do is look at this data. When it is ordered from smallest to biggest, it says minimum and maximum. If you can imagine, minimum, smallest. So that would be 5 1/4. Maximum, biggest, 13.75. Okay? So that is called my 5-number summary. Okay? The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to number your number line like how my number line is. So do it from 0 to 20. It's not going to be perfect, and that's fine. Pause the video and do that. Welcome back! Alright, so now we're going to put our answers on this. Okay? So I'm going to put these 5 numbers on this number line. It's going to be awkward, but that is a-okay. So the very median, the very middle, well, I guess we'll do our minimum first. Our minimum is 5.75. Is that closer to 5 or closer to 6? It's closer to 6, so I'm going to put it here. It's fine if it's not perfect. All right, let's do our maximum. It's in between 13 and 14. Is it closer to 13 or 14? 14, good. So it's going to be about here. Again, it's not perfect, that's fine. Then we're going to do our median. That is our middle number of all the data set, our middle number. 8.375. Is that closer to 8 or is that closer to 9? It's a little bit closer to 8. Kind of in the middle. All right? Then our lower quartile, so that's the middle of these two numbers, right? Is 7 1/4. So that's about here. And then 9 375, that's about here. Okay? So what you're going to do is you are going to make a rectangle around these 3 dots, okay? These two should go through And then this one, you're going to draw a line through. Okay, so you should end up with 3 lines through that, and you're creating a rectangle. From there, connect your minimum and maximum, your dots. Okay? Now, what this says, and we're not going to do the different colors, it's fine, but it says use 4 different colors, so it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each part represents 25%. If you have 4 25%, altogether that's 100%. Okay? It says from 5.75 to 7.25. So from your minimum to right here, is that half of your data? It is not, so you should have a false. What percentage is from 7 1/4, so that's our lower quartile, to 9.375? That's right here. This is 25 and this is 25. So 25% plus 25%, that's going to equal 50%. How fair is it to say that most students have mile times above 9.375 in 14 minutes? Well, 9.375 is here, and 14 minutes is here. Is it fair to say that? No! That's only a quarter of the data. All right? Okay? For now, we're going to skip the range, mean, and mode. Okay? The inner quartile range basically means from the upper to the lower. So if you take your upper, which is 9.375, and you subtract your lower, which is 9.25, what do you get? And you should get 2.125. 2.125, okay? The purpose of it is just that it's an easier way to look at data. It's a lot easier to read things about the data and the medians and stuff like that. That's all that's want, okay? Now, first you need to pause the video and put the numbers in order from smallest to biggest. Welcome back! All right, so you should have that as your order. Let me change my numbers because I messed something up. All right. Then it says find the first quartile. So let's start by doing the easiest. Let's find our middle. Well, if I add 14 plus 14 and I divide by 2, you end up with 14. Okay? So your median is right here. Okay? From there, we need to find the middle here and the middle here. Okay? So 1, 2. So we need to find the middle of 12 and 13. That's going to equal 12.5. Okay? Then the second time, that's this one. That's the one that we did first. All right? Now we got to do it for this part. So there and there. Find the middle here. If I do 15 plus 15 divided by 2, that is 30 over 2, which is 15. All right? And then the range is the biggest minus the littlest, and that equals 6. All right? This should all be reviewed. You should remember how to do this, or at least kind of be ringing a bell. Now, the bigger part here is comparing. So, remember, each piece represents 25% of the data, okay? Every time in between a dot you see, it's 25% of the data. From there, this is your first, second, third, fourth, right? It's broken up into 4 pieces. So the median is the very middle. So if you're looking at the very middle of Powder Valley and the very middle of Mad Mountain, which one's bigger or higher? Mad Mountain. Which one has a higher range? So the biggest minus the littlest. Which one would that be? Mad Mountain. Which one has the greatest interquartile range? So from here to here. From here to here. Which one's the bigger one? Mad Mountain. Okay, so those are all the same. That's not always going to be the case. Let's move on. Before pulse, what's the minimum? So you're looking at before, and the minimum is going to be the very end of this line. So that's about what? About 70. Okay? About 70. Oopsies. It's going to be about 70. Okay? What is the outlier in the after? What's it about? It's about 145. So the outlier is this dot right here. It's basically saying, if I include this, it's going to skew my data. It's going to move it around. Okay? All right. So now we're looking at boys versus girls and their time running. Do the girls or boy have a higher median? So the median is the very middle. So is it girls or boys? Girls. Do the boys or girls have a larger quartile? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So is from here to here bigger or from here to here bigger? The boys. All right. Now we're just going to answer some true, false questions. All right. And then we'll be done with this and you can move on to that last sheet that you need to do. This is period 2. This is period 4. It's like looking at a class data. Y'all took a test and I'm looking at how we did and what your scores are and stuff like that. Okay? So the range for period 2 is about 38 centimeters. So from highest to lowest. I want you to show me that math. As long as you show it to me, you good. All right? Period 4 has more students in the 172 to 184 range. So from here to here, are there more students than from here to here? They're the same. Remember how we talked about each piece of these is the same amount. This is where it gets tricky, and you got this. Okay? Period 2 has an outlier, so this random dot right here is at 198. Is it at 198? I put true. It's hard to tell. It might be a little off, but it's close enough. Okay? Since the box portion of the graph is largest in period 4, we know that period 4 has more students than period 2. It's 25% of the data. Does that really mean that they have more kids? That just means that their data is farther apart. Okay? The third quartile for period 2 is about 192 centimeters. Okay? So the third quartile, so 1, 2, 3. That's false. All right, last one. 75% of the students in period 4 are 184 centimeters. So we're looking at period 4. And if it's 75%, we're looking at, where's that number at? Right here. Okay. Is 75% of the students 184? No. Are they less than 184? Yes. But because it doesn't say less than or greater than or anything, not all the students are 184 centimeters. Okay? The interquartile range for period 4 is 19. So if you take the edge of this box and the edge of this box and you subtract them, do you get 19? I want you to show me that math. If you show me it and it does not, then it's false. If you show me it and it does, then it is. Okay? Period 2 data is skewed to the right because the student who is 198 centimeters. I actually don't like that question. Let's take that question out. If you want to answer, that's perfectly fine. All right? And we're not going to do 9. 10, take a moment, do it yourself, see what you think. Welcome back. So I said yes, and then I said a lot of gibberish. So remember we talked about each of these is 25% of the data, right? So if there are 28 students and there are 4 pieces, that would be 7 in each. This first one is about at 168. So from here to here would be 7 of the students. That's how they're getting that. And that is true. Okay? Make sure that you get the paper and you get that done.